It's Ice Age TV Part 2, Tuesday morning conversations. Look at the hat I got. You know, it's funny, I bought this Maverick hat down there in Florida, and my dad thought that I bought it for him. so my daughter gives it to my dad, and he's like, okay. And then I'm like, wait a second, that's my hat. So then I left it in Tennessee, never realizing that I would end up being actually ends up owning the Maverick. What am I driving today? I'm driving the Maverick. Yeah, the Hellcat Charger's sweet. Dangerous as hell. Being you get a freaking ticket in it. That's the challenge. So let's drive around the Maverick day, man. The Maverick. It's all about the Maverick. What was the movie Maverick? What was that show, Maverick? Remember the Maverick guy?
Top Gun.
Huh?
Wasn't that Top Gun?
No, Maverick. No, but there was a series, Maverick. There was a law guy that had a series, The Maverick.
You think of Matlock?
No. I think it's Maverick. I swear, I'll have to look it up. He could be right. Anyways, you know, it's interesting. I talked about the future, right? And the future, there's actually now studies being done. Yeah, too much information, right? Too much information, too much news. Yeah, let's make it the Maverick day. This Maverick is just so cool. I mean, literally, Charger today. Oh my gosh, my glasses drive me. Yeah, so why aren't I driving that, right? I mean, it's so tempting, but man. Yeah, I'm leaving the shop, and the other guy's still back there working. Busy. And you know what's so interesting about this vehicle is this vehicle, unless you plug the cable into the port, the Apple Play doesn't work. So you have to, a lot of these new technology is that it has the wireless Apple Play capability. And so anyways, yeah, I'm just kind of like, all my channels like, Jesus, creep, Jesus Christ. Yeah, Maverick Day, and like I said, it's more, I forgot to mention, hey, I got my Ford Maverick hat on, which I think this Maverick is so cool. I can't emphasize enough to anybody that's out there shopping around for vehicles. I know it's the same old story. It's the future, right? Remember my conversation this morning? It's the future. You go to the car dealership anymore, and yes, you can buy the Maverick in the future. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even really spend a lot of time. It's just, as everybody knows, I've posted so many hour and a half videos, and I know the people's attention span just fades away. I get all that. So, anyways, the future, the future of buying cars. I mean, think that through, that more than ever, you're being told, be so lucky to get a Ford Maverick, be so lucky to get a Ford F-150. Those are just the brands that I'm attached to. And you're going to pay a lot of money for it. And so once again, we're the future is such the con man's game. You think that through, the future, somebody's telling you that they want money from you for the future predictions. How do you usually feel about that? That goes back to my cheated conversations in a video, is on how, as well as I do, when you give somebody something up front before the task is completed, that is so dangerous. And if you've been around long enough in this physical world like I have, it's a 50-50 shot that plays out, that plays out the way it should. And that's the thing, the future, more than ever, the media machine gets away with telling people the future, but they don't know the future. But the people buy into it. And so sadly, you get such strong opinionated people that get into arguments and fights and even shooting each other about the future, that the media has convinced others. And just like I was talking about this Ford Maverick, beautiful car, great car, people want it, but it's the same thing. You go there, hey, you can get one next year, you can get one next spring, you can get one whatever. Or, hey, we just had one traded back in, and you're going to pay a lot of money for it. And so, but it's okay, because the future of that vehicle is rock solid. Yeah, who's heard these conversations? Buy this and that, and no worries. The market's strong, you'll be fine. And that's the huge concern right now, more than ever in this country, where I talk about the unknown. I talk about how more than ever in our society, we've gone down this path of the unknown, and it's all related to money. It's all related to the amount of money people are spending to buy things. And yeah, for the record, what are you hearing right now? That hot stock that you bought a year or two ago is now not that hot stock. Hey, that cryptocurrency that was at like 43,000 is now down to like 13,000. How's that playing out? I mean, the list goes on and on and on about the future. But yet, for us as individuals, you know, we buy into the future scenarios. Look at the hurricane. Everybody was being told that the hurricane was going to hit Tampa, not Fort Myers. Yeah, at the end, who got hit? Fort Myers. And even went over to the east coast of the state of Florida. You know, it was showing projections of hitting Tampa and going up on the west coast. Yeah, so how'd that all play out, right? I mean, but that was the future forecast prediction by the weatherman. I mean, everybody knows the weatherman, yeah, he can get beat up all day long and gets to keep his job no matter what, whether he's right or wrong, because he predicts the future. And how does that play out on your rained out day that you thought it was supposed to be sunny? So something I was thinking about here that I read here about a week ago, they have a word for it, and I can't remember the word, but they're showing now more than ever in our society, and I've talked about this, that I think more than ever these technology machines, these cell phones, are ruining your brain. You know, it's ruining the way you process information. And I think more than ever, there's now showing statistics, and it isn't so much even now, it's been around for mankind many, many years, but the conversation, the study was that people can't keep track of time. They've done studies where they put a person in seclusion, and that person tries to keep track of time, but they can't. Even to the point that they did a study where a guy literally basically lost track of half the time. He thought he was only confined for X amount of days when he was actually confined for double the amount of time. And they're showing now that, you know, people just can't remember things, and that they just can't keep track of the past. Yeah, and that's why the media machine and the politicians, you know, laugh at us individuals because they think they're smarter than us, and they know that we forget things. And they use that to their advantage, because the politicians never will talk about the past. They always skirt that answer. See, politicians are masters of deception. Yeah, that's been my saying for a long time. Political people are masters of deception. They present something that's not, you know, they present things that just don't end up to play out the way they're supposed to play out. And then more than ever, when politicians are put on the stand to talk about the past, they skirt it. They'll change that's a trick for anybody who gets in an argument with somebody, or in sales. You skirt the question, you move on to a different agenda. That's what you have to do. You know, you start arguing with somebody, you have to try to overcome that focal point they're arguing with you and change the direction of the conversation. That's the master of conversations. That's the magician. And you know, some people aren't very good at that, and some people are very good at that. When you walk out of the dealership, you're like, wait a second, I went there to that dealership and I was all mad at it. I might end up leaving that dealership buying a brand new car. How did that happen? Yeah, a very talented master of deception guy or lady got in front of you and changed your whole emotional feelings. So following up on this morning's conversations of the future, I just explained to you that the political parties today and the media machine today, more than ever, understand us individuals. We forget things. That's how we are. I mean, it's, you know, to a degree, sometimes you're glad you forget things, but sadly at the same time, there's some things that you can't unsee. If you understand that comment, yeah, that's for life. That's a problem. That's a challenge for, you know, political, or should say, well, there are political prisoners, but people go off to war. You know, that's a huge challenge when they come back from what they've seen. You know, the horrors and everything they've seen. You know, it's very challenging for them to adapt back into the normal society without feeling somebody's going to kill them or they need to kill somebody else. Yeah, that's a big, big problem. So when I talk to when I bring up these conversations, you know, I notice more than ever, and I haven't ever done this, but I noticed lately a lot of these YouTube guys, they have little cheat sheets with them. One guy is pretty smart. He has a second cell phone, and he's using his cell phone to get information to feed to you to make sure that he's giving you the correct information. And I was thinking to myself, well, that's a pretty good idea, because I come up with a lot of ideas and thoughts, and I never make notes or anything. So then I get to talking on my videos, and then later I think, I didn't add that information. I didn't kind of talk about another variable of what I'm trying to convey the message to. And there was a Rivian. Yeah, the Rivians are having a major recall. How's that all playing out, right? Hey, you Rivian guys, you probably don't like me, I guess, because I kind of make Rivian comments that you don't want to hear. Yeah, I know. Well, Rivian's a cool vehicle. I've said it a gazillion times. I think it's way overpriced in the market for people that try to resell them. And I don't think the engineer did the greatest job on designing. Now, the gentleman who works for me, he said this morning that Jay Leno did an interview with a Ford CEO or somebody. I haven't looked at it, but apparently Jay Leno has a whole video on the F-150 Lightning design and Mach-E design. And apparently, and I haven't watched the video, so I'm just sharing information that the guy that works for me told me, that drives my F-150 Lightning truck, that there were like 6 guys put in a basement to design the F-150 Lightning and Mach-E. And that Ford has intentionally divided the electric division away from the ICE division so they can get the electric credits and they can keep the stocks, the stock values separated. They just have kept the whole EV thing, it's 2 different entities. And they're just trying to keep all the EV people in one side of the equation focused on these vehicles. Like we were talking this morning, when you have an emergency car crash, the emergency people are taught to cut the battery cables of a gas vehicle, diesel or gas vehicle. First thing I want to do is I want to cut the energy of the vehicle so that the car doesn't have a chance of catching on fire. So, and that's a great thing, So when a medical emergency crew shows up and you've crashed your car, the first thing they try to do is take the power away from the vehicle by cutting the battery cables. Well, how do you do that in an electric car? So this morning we were thinking, how do you cut the power to an electric vehicle? Yeah, you get into the bottom of the car, the battery pack. I mean, that's very, very dangerous. That's the biggest thing an electric EMT is taught, is that these vehicles can electrify you, because they have massive voltage coming out of them. And it's no different than you going up in your house electrical panel and opening it up and putting both hands in the panel and you're dead. Because as everybody knows, electric goes through your heart and stops it from working. That's what happens. You can touch electric with one hand, but once you have a path from your left hand to your right hand, the electricity goes through your body and it turns your heart off. That's why people get electrocuted and die. If you only have one hand on there and your foot isn't in any water or leaning against another metal object, it doesn't have a complete path to kill you. So when you're working electric, you just want to have one hand touching electrical source, and if you do that, then you won't die. You may get a buzz, you may get shocked, but you won't die. So the whole point is, we were talking this morning, I wonder why the electric, this car is just so cool. I just drove the F1. I mean, I wanted to take this vehicle to Tennessee, towing that trailer. My daughter was just like, no, it's not cool enough, I get it. And in all reality, the Raptor truck did great. It was a lot of fun. It's a great vehicle. But I just think this vehicle is so cool. And I just can't decide. So here, look, I'm going to turn on the adaptive. I jump into so many different cars. Where's the adaptive? Is that it? Yeah, there it is. Okay, so I can't, the buttons on these cars, they're different. That drives you nuts. So there's your speedo, right? So, I'll just set it to that because I'm just following the car, and we'll just follow him at whatever speed he's doing. That's what we do, right? So anyways, this morning, Ford and other manufacturers should have a major cutoff switch. Where is that designed? So when the EMT get there, and keep in mind, there's so many variables. How the car crashed, can they get to the vehicle, blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of variables. But you would think that it's so different than a car crash in an ICE car. They're going to try to get to that front hood and open it to cut the battery cables. Well, you should just have the same thought process of an electric vehicle. Have the front or the rear trunk have an access to have a switch that cuts all the power to the vehicle. I mean, yeah, and I'm sure there's more to it than I realize or understand. That anybody that designs electric cars, like, well, that theory in your eyes works, but in the real physics of the way that car is designed, you can't do that. I have no idea, because I've talked about this. These cars, the electric vehicles, are 12 volt architecture for the actual, you know, your dash, all your instrumentation, all your electronics are not around, you know, the bigger voltage of these electric vehicles. And that's kind of the running joke, that these electric vehicles still require a 12 volt battery in the vehicle, because all the architecture in all these cars is 12 volt based. So they're still using that technology, not having to re-engineer things. So you have a 12 volt battery that's really running the vehicle per se, if you kind of understand what I mean on the actual electronics of the radio and your power windows, power doors. Everything's being controlled through a 12 volt circuitry. So anyways, yeah, just ideas, you know, it's all about ideas, about us as people thinking things through and sharing information. And that's what I like to do on my channel, because I mean, I can continue to do a car review of a car review of a car review of a car review of a car review, but to me, I just like my passion for vehicles, and I just like to share stories that in my eyes relate with the passion for vehicles. And even though I'm sure some people watch my channel like, yeah, well, this is just too, in my eyes, political, it's just too much. Yeah, and I'm sure that people do click on my channel and start to come to closure. This guy just rambles on and blah, blah, blah. Well, I think that overall I kind of give some information that can help other people look at things differently and step out of the box, as I say, and just try to, you know, say, yeah, that and it connects to other things as well, which I've talked about numerous times. It seemed like the Power of Woman video, you know, haven't had a lot of comments on that. It kind of gets a little, I can get a little fuzzy, if you know what I mean. But I think the Back to the Future video this morning, I think that it's so factual today more than ever, that we're being driven more than ever in society by the future. You know, I mean, what are people buying in the stock market? Look at the barrel of oil. Barrel of oil, it, to me, is very aggravating, because it was so incredible. As I said back late spring, early summer, that the barrel of oil will never sustain itself because it's fake news. You know, it's false information, it's misinformation of all this oil that still exists in the marketplace. But the media is trying to drive it like, oh, be so lucky. I talk to you all the time, but there's another YouTuber that was telling everybody that we'd run out of diesel fuel in this country because of the Ukraine crisis. And I didn't believe that. I was like, nah, you know, that's not where are you getting this information? So here's the thing. Here's the point. I hit it on the head, in my eyes, that the oil market is flooded. To the point OPEC was initially talking about a 1 million barrel per day cutback production between all their sharing countries, conglomerate, fixed pricing conglomerate. That's all it is. OPEC's just a fixed pricing conglomerate. Do you realize if you and I own a business and we talk among ourselves that we don't negotiate pricing on whatever we're doing? It's a security exchange will be, you know, looking for us, that we're practicing fixed pricing. I mean, what's the OPEC oil countries do? They talk among themselves on how to fix pricing. I mean, it's just beyond believable what we witness. And yet, the little gas station owner guy is being called out by the general media that he's the problem. You know, you can own a gas. Just so you know, it's not that hard to own a gas station. You know, you just sign up. You know, yeah, people are like, well, it is. Well, it is, but it's not, because you just rent the land and the deal from a jobber, and then you just live the business to sell gasoline. They sell it to you to make money off of you, and if you do it right, you're going to make money for yourself. But at the end of the day, the gas station guy can't control the fuel price. It's the jobbers and the oil industry, they control the gas price. So it cracks me up on how this sitting administration's lambasting the gas station owners when they need to be going after the controlled OPEC, the price-fixing OPEC organized, you know, countries, strategize on how to make their oil worth more money by pulling back with a pump so that you're so lucky to even get any. Yeah, and the point is, I said this past spring that the inflated price of oil is not going to last. It won't last. It's not correct information. And so for me, for me as an individual, we're witnessing that that's exactly the facts, that the oil producing companies, producing countries have had to cut back on their oil production because they saw the barrel of oil get down into that high $70 barrel oil. We just had like $77 or $79 barrel oil. When the barrel of oil, was at 130 at one point, I believe. I can't even keep track of all the numbers. See there that you can't remember everything? Yeah. And so here's a guy in a Raptor truck doing 100 miles an hour. I ain't lying. I'm going to video him for you. Look, there he goes. So right now, that's me. So he's at 90, 95. He's hitting it more. So, yeah, good. But make sure they up the road pays attention to him and not me. So here's the point. It's the future. The future. It's all about the future. And we all fall into that, the catch. We fall into what everybody else falls into. We listen to the media machine and we believe it. But then at the end of the day, where is anybody constantly calling these media stations saying, but you told everybody this, but they won't talk about it? And that's what I was saying earlier. A political person, they want nothing to do with talking about what they promised people and they told people the way things would be, but it's so not, happening. Right. And that's why I say more than ever the green agenda is so dangerous, because it's getting so many young people and older people too to believe that the green agenda is going to resolve the challenges of Mother Nature being harmed by mankind, and people buy into it. But it's the future. When will we know the real answer? We never will, because they'll make sure you don't know the answer because they don't want to face the answer. And that's the problem with the future predictions is, it just goes on. It's infinite. It's infinite when they'll say, well, we think this has happened and that's happened. And so it's very, very dangerous. All right. Kind of the future conversations continuation. What the hell else is going on, right? Besides me, this is another 200 plus mile day for me. I'm on the road. This would be, a long day as far as driving time. And I'm driving the Maverick, and this thing's just so awesome. So Maverick, it just flies down the road. And, you would think this size vehicle, you would be compromised. You would be giving up things for this vehicle because of, it being a smaller vehicle, it being a less powerful vehicle, which it's really not. I mean, I just can't get over the Ford Maverick. But here's the danger for me. Here's the challenge. I could be a guy pushing Ford Mavericks all day long, but I know many, many people would reach out to me and go, yeah, but the problem is I can't get one. Yeah, I want one of those, but I can't get it. Yeah, and how much more are they going to charge for you, right? All right, continue on the path of driving down the road. And when I tell people now that I can drive 3, 4, 5,000 miles in 1 month. If you follow my YouTube channel and you just start looking at it every day, I drop just about every day I'm behind the wheel of a vehicle. I'm making videos. Yeah, about every day I go down the road and make videos. It's 150, 200 mile a day. Okay. You start going times 5 days a week, 6 days a week, and then I'm driving to Florida and Tennessee. You just start adding up the numbers. That's 4,000 or 5,000 miles in a month's time. That's why if I have one vehicle, oh my gosh, within 2 years' time, it's got 100,000 miles on it. Yeah, good luck. Good luck selling your brand new Ford Maverick. It's a year and a half old. It's got 70,000 miles on it. You can, but it's going to be worth like half what you paid for it. I don't know. Today's used car market, though, it's so stupid. Look at me. I just went out and bought Ram trucks with 70,000 and 80,000 miles on them. And look what I paid for them. Yeah, I know. Yeah, ridiculous. And I got a project with another Ram truck. I haven't had time to screw with that. That thing's just, what a fiasco, right? Yeah, what a fiasco. But I'm just a firm believer that all play out the way it's supposed to play out. And how it plays out yet, I don't know. Yeah, so, anyways, follow me along. I'm going to take a break here and focus on the road, look at the police up here, and do all our stuff. Coming up on a Ford Mustang Mach-E. What's really interesting about this Ford Mustang product is see how narrow that car seems. So on the road, what I really noticed about this car is I think it's a good looking car, but when it's on the road, it looks, small. It really does. I mean, it just really has a small platform. And you don't really, when you're in the car and you're driving, you just don't have that same type of feel. But I've noticed that so many times is that car just seems to have a small footprint presence on the road. I mean, it's a fun car, but it's smaller than you think it is. Yeah, what do I do with that? My wife hasn't even driven the Ford Mustang Mach-E White Space GT, I think, in like 2-3 weeks. I mean, so here's the thing. I've got a Ford F-150 Lightning coming in probably November, so what am I giving up for that, right? Yeah, and here's the thing for me. Actually, I picked a really pretty color on that vehicle. And, yeah, I don't know. I mean, with me, you don't know. I mean, if you're following my YouTube channel, you can honestly say, I don't know. What is that guy going to do? Yeah, right. He doesn't even know. How would I know? Yeah, I get it. So, anyways, just wanted to point that out on the future, right? My vehicle is based on the future. The future of the good, right? Yeah. Future of the good. Electric. Batteries. Ah, I can't believe it. Here we are in Baltimore, Maryland. And just beautiful, beautiful day. The roads aren't too crazy. Getting ready to go to the inner harbor. I should say that the McHenry underwater tunnel. Yeah, so it's pretty. It's a pretty town, even though they've got a lot of the inner city stuff like everywhere else. Is a challenge. You know what I mean?